Welcome back. You're watching the Late Night News on Ndtv-Hindu. A historic day for people in the country. India today joins the elite group of few countries in the world with a law making education a fundamental right for every child. Prime Minister Manmohan Singh said this morning that education will be free and compulsory to all children now, and this will make children capable citizens. This act, which makes elementary education an entitlement for children in the 6 to 14 age group, is expected to directly benefit 1 crore children who don't go to school as of now. As per the act, it will be binding on the part of the local and state governments to ensure that all children in the age group get schooling. Also, private education institutions should reserve 25% seats for children from the weaker sections of the society. Parents can now actually demand a seat for the children in nearby schools. And the Union HRD Minister Kapil Sibal spoke to NDTV's Barka Dutt about the Right to Education Act and how the act is the future of the country.
But what happens to a child after 14? That's the cap in this act.
Enormous investments are going to Madhyamik Shiksha Abhiyan with 31,000 crores. So that's going to be, and that's a much easier, the solution there is much easier because you have fewer schools. Right? In Sarv Shiksha Abhiyan, right to education, elementary education, you need a large number of schools. As you move up the chain, the ratio gets much less. And therefore the access will be much better, and we want to achieve 75%. Retention at the secondary level in the course of 5 years, and we'll be able to do that.
Now, the Supreme Court has in the past in a judgment also spoken about education being a fundamental right up to the age of 14. Now you created this act. How are you, Kapil, going to ensure that it is more than a slogan? Because you know that you've got to work really hard to implement this.
Absolutely.
So what's going to be the centerpiece of your priority to make this real and not just a
Get all
slogan?
stakeholders on board. The message must be to the nation, this is not about you and me, it's about our future. Not just the future of our children, the future of India. Because if we do not empower our children, who are 220 million who go to school, if we do not empower them, only 18 million of them go to college. Remember, if we do not empower 190 million children, you can imagine what's going to happen. This demographic dividend will become a demographic disaster, and no country can afford that. This is at the heart of economic development.
Can you put a time frame on when you and I will be sitting here and saying 80% of India's children are educated, or literate at least?
I think 7 to 10 years, not 80 more.
Private schools are saying, look, you the government, you don't give me any money. Who are you to A, tell me to block off 25% of my seats for poor kids, then tell me that I can't even sort of do an interview with them, conduct a background check, and 3, that I should admit them at any time of the year that they land up. They're saying this violates their constitutional rights.
First of all, there is some misconception. This 25% will start from the year 2011. It won't start from this year because admissions are already over. And the first batch of 25% will come in class 1. It's not 25% across the board. In 2011 it will be class 1.
It's only class 1?
Only class 1.
To start with?
Yes. In 2012 the class 1 will go to class 2, and you will have another batch of class 1. So it will be 12 years before that school will have 25% reservation of the disadvantaged community. I don't see what problem there is for private institutions. Right? And number 2, you must understand that in education everybody is a stakeholder, including private institutions, right? And there is, if you talk about corporate social responsibility, there is also responsibility of many of these corporations who run these private schools, or business houses who run these private schools. So it's part of that corporate social responsibility, and they must and they must accept that fact that education is something that each of us individually and as corporations and as business houses have to deliver in this country, because it's not about you and me, it's about the future of India.
So you're saying it's their duty?
It's their duty.
What do you believe should be the ideal system? Because schools are arguing that you've taken away autonomy in a sense from them.
Not at all. What's the autonomy? Ultimately it's the autonomy of the child that matters, not of the school, not of the state government, not of the central government. And what does the autonomy of the child require? Access to education. So I don't think any school can argue that.
But moving on, a day after the students demanded the reopening of the Arts College, which was indefinitely closed from March 23rd, a group of academics and activists came to their support and said the cases against all students should be withdrawn and the college should be reopened immediately. A team of academics and activists including A. Marks, P. Sivakumar, K. Sugumaran and Kutti Revati came out with a fact-finding report. The report blamed the college authorities for mishandling the situation by asking for police intervention.
விடுதி அடுத்த ஆண்டு முதல் செயல்படுவதற்கு வழி செய்ய வேண்டும். இதெல்லாம் நீங்கள் ஒரு தொலைநோக்கான எங்களோட டிமாண்ட்ஸ். இந்த பிரச்சனையை பொறுத்தமட்டில் கல்லூரி உடனடியாக திறக்கப்படணும், வழக்கு வித்ட்ரா பண்ணப்படணும். ஆனால் மாணவர்கள் அது மாதிரி கையில் விலங்கிடப்பட்டு உள்ள வைக்கப்பட்டிருந்தது உண்மை. அதனால் அது தொடர்பாக விசாரிக்கப்பட்டு அந்த உரிய போலீஸ் அதிகாரிகள் மீது நடவடிக்கை எடுக்கப்படணும்.
Now, the defeat in Pennagram seems to have hit AIADMK members hard. After AIADMK lost in the Pennagram by-poll, Erode party member Thangavel set himself ablaze and was admitted with severe injuries in a private hospital in Erode. Party leader Jayalalitha paid a visit to Erode and donated 1 lakh rupees to Thangavel and asked him not to resort to these measures again.
உங்களை போன்ற உண்மையான தொண்டர்கள் உயிருடன் இருந்து கழகத்திற்காக கழக வளர்ச்சிக்காக பாடுபட வேண்டும். அதுதான் எனது விருப்பம்.
Well, going back to a top story, news just coming in. Deputy Chief Minister M.K. Stalin refused to react to Algiri's comments on his return to Chennai from Coimbatore. Stalin said that he did not read about the interviews and said he will not comment on it.
நான் படிக்கவும் இல்லை, பார்க்கவும் இல்லை. நான் கோயம்புத்தூர் போயிட்டு செம்மொழி மாநாடு வேலையை பார்த்துட்டு வரேன்.
அவங்களுக்கு கட்சி சார், அவங்க கீழே பணியாற்ற நீங்க தயாரா? கட்சி பதவி
உங்களுக்கு வேற வேலை கிடையாது.
அவங்க சொல்லிருக்காங்க. இல்ல அவங்க அப்படி சொல்லிருக்காங்க.
Right, we'll bring you more on that later. But the elections may be over in Pennagram, but Ndtv-Hindu's focus on issues that people face in Pennagram is not. It's a town where life is hard and poverty has forced thousands of people to leave their hometown in search of a better life. Our reporter Shabir Ahmed met one person who has lost all hope in the political system.
Poverty forced 56-year-old Selvam to leave his hometown Dharmapuri in search of livelihood 3 years ago. Since then, life has come a full circle for him. Selvam now runs a small barber shop near Pennagram to make ends meet. And he's determined to fight poverty.
Finance கொடுத்து கெடுத்து குடிசை பண்ணி என்னை அனுப்பிச்சி விட்டாங்க. கடங்காரனுக்கு பயந்து நான் வெளியே போனேன். போதுங்களா? அந்த கடங்காரனை போயிட்டு கடனை பூரா சம்பாதிச்சு கட்டிட்டு இன்னும் 5000 தரணும்னு சொல்லிட்டு மறுபடியும் தரால தான் பண்ணிட்டு இருக்கிறாங்க.
As soon as the by-polls were announced in Pennagram, all political parties turned to the 40,000 strong migrant workers, promising better livelihood for their votes. The PMK even campaigned on the pavements of Bangalore to woo these voters. But this sudden attention has not moved Selvam. He says he's not dependent on the promises made by politicians.
I don't care.
And this is the mantra that keeps him going, setting an example to other migrant workers in the district. With Shabir Ahmed in Dharmapuri, Jason Tosh for Ndtv-Hindu.
All right, coming up next, Gandhigiri all the way in Dharmapuri. Stay tuned to find out more.